might have seen in a recent video that I bought myself a new home cinema projector. Now, it had been quite a while since I bought one, so I wasn't really aware of how the market had changed in the last few years. And a good example of that is that because I bought this through Amazon, I'm starting to get the recommendations tailored to projectors. So it's like, oh, you bought a projector, maybe you'd be interested in buying a projector. Now, normally those things are completely useless, of course, but this time I'm starting to get recommendations for cheap projectors or budget ones. You know, the kind of thing that maybe a kid would have as a novelty to project on the ceiling of their bedroom and that kind of stuff. Now, in the past, whenever I've seen these, I've just discounted them because they're rubbish generally. I mean, all right as a novelty for kids, but, you know, no quality to them otherwise. However, the ones that are getting recommended now promise to do full HD. They've got built-in apps, they've got decent quality speakers, and they're a lot cheaper than I expected. There was one that I saw, this one. It's just one of many, but there was a good discount on it. There was like a voucher, and there was another voucher that you could apply. You could stack them up, and it ends up being 133 quid. Now, that's at the time of recording. One of those vouchers expires tomorrow. However, I bought this 3 weeks ago, and it had different vouchers, and it was still roughly the same price then. So this is the iWimius S29, the name you can trust. Yeah, I'm not suggesting to buy this one. I'm not suggesting to buy any of them. I'm not recommending these at all. I've got to make it very clear this is not an advert. In fact, these are all terrible products, okay? I don't really know if that's true or not, but I just wanted to make it very clear that I'm not getting paid by anyone to make this video. I bought this for myself. Well, I didn't really. I bought it with two reasons in mind. One, make a video about it just to see how good a projector you can get for 133 quid. But secondly, after I finish making the video, I'm going to give it to my brother-in-law because he always fancied having one of these things to project on the outside of his caravan when he goes away in it. So I'm going to give it to him after this, but first we just want to see how good this thing really is or how bad it is. Now, I just want to go through some of the specs from the promotional material. So according to this, the focus is adjusted electronically, and the projector also has automatic adjustment for vertical keystone, which squares off the image if the projector is pointing up or down relative to the plane of the projection surface. It supports apps, apparently an unlimited number, which is quite some statement to make, but in amongst those it does have an officially certified Netflix app. Now, of course, to use apps you're going to need a Wi-Fi connection. It supports Wi-Fi 6. On the Bluetooth side of things, you can see it's Bluetooth 5.2. You can send your audio into the projector, listen to it through the built-in speakers, or send your audio out from the projector and listen to it over Bluetooth headphones or an external speaker. The projector is native 1080p. It uses LCD technology. The audio apparently is Dolby certified, whatever that means. But one thing jumped out to me on this page, and it's the light output. It says here 26,000 lumen. Now, my regular projector outputs 1,800 ANSI lumen, and in most modes it's more like 1,400 to 1,500. The 26,000 of this little projector seems like a crazy number. However, it's more to do with leading into confusion than anything else. You see, it's saying it does 26,000 lumens, but the common standard is ANSI lumen. It's two different scales. To get the ANSI lumen number, you divide the lumens by 16, which produces a more believable number, although it's still quite high for a device like this. I think it's best, though, if I just judge the results for myself. Right, well, let's have a look, see what we've got in here. Do you think this thing's going to be plastic or metal? I think the base might be metal. I doubt the cases, but let's find out. Doesn't feel very heavy. So, HDMI lead, remote control, and a power lead with a figure of 8 on the end. Warranty card, after sales card, and instruction booklet. Oh, something else, hold on. Cleaning cloth and little things to clean out the fans. I've noticed on the advert for this, it kept mentioning about cleaning out the air intakes, as though that seems to be a bit of an issue with this one. Right, yeah, all plastic. And there we go. Right. So we've got a lens cap on the front. Full HD 1080p it says there. Autofocus. On the side we've got the ports. A little bit tricky, but HDMI, headphone and USB. Of course, you could also use the headphone as a audio out jack for a sound system. I presume there's something hidden behind here as well. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that might well be the bit I'm supposed to clean with those cotton buds. On the back we have the power socket, an IR receiver, a button, and no doubt a little LED. Tripod screw mount on the bottom. Rubberized base. It holds its position. I mean, it feels cheap, but not nasty, if you know what I mean. Just want to have a look at this remote control. Now, this feels really cheap. It's almost got no weight to it whatsoever. We've got some hotkeys there. Open browser. Now, is that the name of a browser, or is it the button to open the browser? I presume it's the former. Rubberized buttons on this. I mean, it will serve its function, I'm quite sure. It doesn't come with any batteries. I need to find 2 AAA, so let me just go and dig some out. I was just having a look. It's not a backlit remote control. I'm not surprised given the price, but it would be nice if it was. Now I'll just move it out of the way for the moment because I'm going to set up a small projector screen on this desk here. I'm not exactly sure how big this one is, but we'll get it open and have a look. Ah, there we go. Right, that's not bad at all. Right, so now I'm going to get the projector and put it on the shelves behind me, and I can go through the settings, get it all set up, and then we can move it on to a bigger screen after that. First observation, the power lead is a bit stingy in its length, but of course these things are very easy to swap out, so not much of a problem. Right, well you can see now that the image isn't fitting on the screen, and the projector is only 140 centimeters away, so it is a short throw projector as it advertises. I'll just have to keep bringing it in, and it would be about right there for a 16:9 screen. This is a 4:3 aspect ratio, but unfortunately there is in the middle of nowhere. Right, this is where that tripod mount comes in particularly handy, because now I can just pop it on one of my camera tripods. Now I've noticed as I'm moving it around, it's automatically adjusting the keystone to keep the image square. Just have a look. So you can see there how it's pretty much lined up with the edges of the screen. If I just pop it up and down, just watch how it brings itself back right again. There you go. So automatic keystoning, that's pretty clever for something this cheap. Right, so on this screen I'm supposed to select what kind of setup I've got, whether it's front projection, back projection, upside down, from the roof, etc. So it's just your regular front projection, so we'll pick that. Okay, so we'll just go through the regular setup, English, and see if it's UK on this one. Sometimes it says Great Britain and things. Yeah, this is one of those ones where you go to United Arab Emirates from Ukraine. So is it going to be Great Britain? Let's find out. No, it's not that one, so it must be England then, is it? Everybody else seems to get a look in. Where am I going to be? Even the Åland Islands have a shot. Oh, am I up at the top somewhere? There we go. It's not in alphabetical order. Right, okay, United Kingdom. And it's going to nick all my data. And it's going to collect information. Can I say no to that one? Yeah, we're going to decline that one, so we'll go past this. Enable Wi-Fi, right. Right, just close your eyes for a minute while I put the Wi-Fi password in. Right, I've got to say, the remote control, whilst it feels cheap, it is responsive and it's easy to select things on. So let's just see if I managed to type my password in correctly there. Yeah, there we go. Right, we're on. Okay, let's go on YouTube. Yeah, now I'm struggling with this size of screen to get the focus right. It said it's minimal focus distance, and the screen for that needs to be about that far back. But as you can see, we're getting things spilling off the edges. And if I was to bring it closer while it all fits on, I can't adjust the focus to be any closer than it is already. So really you do need this with a larger screen. We'll see if we can perhaps zoom it down to fit this size of screen. There we go, we found the zoom. So what we need to do now is just shrink it down a little bit so it fits on this screen here within the borders. Now, of course, looking at that, you can see in the middle it says 88%. That means we're using 88% of the sensors, so we're not full 1080p anymore. But on a projector like this, I don't think that's so much of a big deal. You can see here we've got Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, Plex. It does have a USB port, doesn't it? So we could put something on that perhaps. There's an app store. Let's see what's available in there. Let's say I want to get Discovery or Paramount. Let's see if these are in there. Okay, well, it doesn't seem to have many of the apps that I'm familiar with and a lot that I'm not. Yeah, okay. Well, it's an interesting selection of oddities in here. But yeah, not the names I'm particularly familiar with. There's a few in there that I recognise, but not ones I'd tend to put on something. Let's see if we can get Disney on here. Look, I've got a cursor on here. Yeah, it seems to be using like a web version of the Disney app. So let's just quit out of this because I'm not particularly happy about putting my password details into this. So I would suggest on this, it's a device for Netflix, YouTube and Prime Video and your own files. And then after that, I'd probably give the rest of the stuff a miss. Okay, well, now that we've got it set up, let's try it on a bigger screen. Okay, so as you can see, I've got everything set up here. And in fact, I've had it set up now for a day and a half. I've been using the projector, getting used to its features and learning about its pros and cons. And unfortunately, there is one very significant con. But before we get to that, let's have a look at some of the more positive things and some of the other features. Now, earlier I had a few misgivings about the quality of the remote. Well, I take it all back because after using it for a while, it's really very nice. In fact, I've also been using this Google TV remote control, and this thing is horrible in comparison, especially the D-pad of sorts with a button in the middle. It took me about 10 goes to enter my password earlier on, whereas this thing, very precise. But I just want to point out a couple of the more unusual buttons on here. Bottom right here, we've got focus, plus and minus. It's good to have it actually just on the remote, so you can adjust the focus as easy as that. The rest of it's pretty much self-explanatory, apart from this blue button here. And if I was to press that, it moves the image around. So that's like mirrored, upside down, for back projection, etc. The first thing you might notice is that it's plenty bright enough, even in this room with all the lights on. I mean, yeah, you get a washed out image, but you can see what's going on here. Projectors with less light output than this, you wouldn't really be able to make out very much at all. And I'll just switch the lights off. Now, this is a room with some light still coming through a window behind you, but that's got a good contrast on that screen there. Nice black colour here rather than a grey. So yeah, looking good so far. More on that in a moment though. So this is an 80-inch diagonal screen behind me here, and this is a short throw projector. And just to show, I can almost touch the screen and the projector at the same time and get this image of roughly 80 inches diagonal. It's just a little bit shy of it. And I've got the projector at the right distance away from it. I'm not using any kind of zoom or keystoning or any of that business. This is the pure image out of the projector with the projector at the right height and the right distance. So to get this image, we are 196 centimeters away, around about 78 inches. Just gives you an idea as to how far away your projector has to be to, say, project on a wall or a ceiling. And I think this is pretty good so far. Let's just talk about the apps for a moment though. I don't know how much I trust a device from a company that I've never heard of, iWimius, with my login credentials. I mean, maybe I'm being paranoid here, but it just made sense to me to plug something into this, like this Google TV device, which has all the apps I need, and it's already got all my passwords and things, and it's a device that I would trust more than some, I'm not going to say no name, it does have a name, but it's not a name I'm familiar with. So yeah, I can plug this into the HDMI socket on the side here and get all the apps I need. Now this device, of course, runs off USB power. The projector has a USB port. It doesn't provide it with enough power, but that's not uncommon for this device. It tends to want its own plug. So just split the power lead and send one off to whatever device you choose, whether it's a Fire Stick or a Roku or whatever. Now, I've got my apps that I need on here. I can access them via the HDMI input, so I don't need to go to the internal ones. But another thing that you can do with the internal ones is use that USB port to play your media files, photos, videos and music. I've got a USB drive formatted as NTFS. It doesn't accept exFAT. It also seems to indicate that you can only go up to 64 gig. Okay, so on my memory card I've got 3 different video types. We've got MKVs, we've got MOVs, we've got MP4s. Now the device is capable of playing all 3 types, however the selection I've put on this memory card can't all be played. For example, I've got an MKV here of a TV show which plays just fine, but another MKV up here off a demo disc, well, it says audio only and then it fails. So we'll just go back to the beginning again. Now that audio only thing appears on this MP4 clip here from a dash cam. So I can hear this one, but I can't see the video. But this one from a dash cam, that's an MOV. That plays just fine. But this MOV doesn't. And that MP4 does. So yeah, rather a mixture there. I think you'd have to perhaps have a bit more of a experiment with the different file types. Now this one at the top, I just put a 3D file in here just to see how the projector reacted to this, and it doesn't recognize it at all. It will play it, but that's just playing an MKV with a side-by-side video file format. It doesn't have the system to recognize that that is a 3D video and let you use DLP link glasses. It was a long shot, but I thought it was worth trying out, so there you go. It doesn't do 3D and it doesn't do all videos either. Okay, now let's talk about the audio side of things. First off, I want to talk about the sound that comes from the projector, and I'm not talking about the one coming out of the speakers here, but the one that's generated by the cooling fan. Is it distracting? Well, I'm stood quite close now. You can maybe hear it in the background. Let me get a bit nearer. Got my lavalier just here. I mean, you can hear it, but it's not annoying. So yeah, fan noise, not a problem. For me at least, anyway. The next one is the sound that's generated via the built-in speakers. I don't know what Dolby certification actually means. If these speakers are Dolby certified, God help the rest of them, because I mean, look, you can hear what's happening. You can keep up with the images on the screen. It will do the job, but it's certainly not a nice quality of sound. Let me just take the pause off this. Oh, there we go. Turn the volume up a bit. All the way. I don't know how well this comes across on the video, but that's not a great quality of sound at all. So I think if I was sitting down watching something on this, it makes more sense to send the audio to something else. Of course, I'm getting a bit complicated now because I've got a dongle on for the video, or maybe something hanging off the side with the SD cards in it, and then now I want to send the audio off to a Bluetooth speaker. But I'd actually recommend not bothering with this idea. I'll demonstrate why. So let me connect it up to the Bluetooth speaker and just have a listen and a watch of this. Okay, so I've just shot this section quickly and uploaded it to YouTube so then I can play it on the projector whilst it's connected up to a Bluetooth speaker to show you how far out from the image the audio gets when you play it back this way. Now, this is not uncommon for audio, for Bluetooth to not match up with video, but you tend to find some kind of setting where you can delay the video a little bit. I can't find that in this projector, so this is what it looks like. The lips don't match up with what you're listening to, and I'm just going to clap my hands to show you how far out it is. Quite a bit. Right, back to me. Now, the full version of the manual is available online. In fact, I'll put a QR code in the corner of the screen somewhere if you really want to have a look at it, but nowhere in there does it mention anything about delaying the video or advancing the audio or vice versa. So I think Bluetooth is a bit of a bust. Fortunately though, we do have the good old-fashioned wired audio output, which I've sent off to this speaker, and at the danger of things getting a little bit too meta, here's the clapping section at the end of that video played back through this. Here's quite a bit. That guy's a bit of a fool, isn't he? But anyway, that's probably the way to go. I've got to say though, bit of a hum on this, just have a listen. I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe I've got the audio turned up too loud, but if I turn it down anymore, it doesn't sound right, so, Now all the menus on here are very clear and easy to understand, and I assume therefore that it's one that's used by a number of similar projectors. Let me demonstrate to you how the Keystone and Zoom functions work. And to do that, I'm going to mess up my settings, because at the moment it's in the perfect position, dead center, right height. So let's change that. I'm going to put it off to one side like this, and I'm going to drop it down and then point it up towards the screen. Oh, one more thing. I'll move it too far away. Yeah, there we go. Right, let's have a look now. Okay, so I think you can see from this that we've got the image spilling off the screen, particularly at the top right, but also top left, and everything's at a bit of a funny angle. Now, we could just go straight into the Keystone. I'll show you that. 4-point correction. So we're at the top left at the moment, and I can bring that one in, and you can see there we've got the corner now showing. So if I press the button, we're now at the top right, and I'll try and bring that down and in. There we go. And bottom right, similarly, bring that one up. Now, of course, all these settings would tend to reduce the quality of the image that you're getting, but it's better than having the image we just had. So let's just have a look at this. Now, you can see there, that's not bad, but we're a bit out of focus, and also I think the zoom is incorrect. Let's just have a look at the zoom. Yeah, we need to just bring it in a little bit. So I'm at 98% zoom. Now, of course, when you do a zoom, you're cropping in on the image. It's a bit like a digital zoom on a digital camera, in that you're not getting the full quality of image the more you zoom in. In this case, it's reducing in quality the smaller it gets, because we're just looking at a smaller part of the sensor, really. So we want it as big as we can get it, but I think on this one we don't want to go beyond about 98%. So we'll take that one, and then the other thing we need to do is adjust the focus, and this one you can just press up and down to get the word in the center of the screen nice and sharp. However, there's more to the focus than that, and that is the next thing I want to talk about. Yeah, now I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera from that distance, but let me just turn the lights off. This is in focus here. Not pin sharp, but good enough. That there is blurry, like double imaged. Let me bring you a bit closer so you can have a look. Okay, so there's the blurry bit, and we'll just move across. And that's the bit that's in focus. Now, using the focus control, I can get the center of the image in focus now, but then the outer edges are blurry. Okay, so there's a couple of things to mention here. The projector is at the right distance for this screen. It's perpendicular, it's not too high, not too low, not off to either side. The Keystone is at 0 all the way around. The zoom is at 100%. In fact, I tried reducing the zoom down to make the screen smaller to see if that helped at all, and of course it didn't, because what we're talking about here is issues with the lens. The lens isn't uniform all the way across, so it's getting focus in the middle and not at the edges, or vice versa. And that isn't something that I can adjust with the settings. Now, you might think I'm being a bit nitpicky here for a projector that costs as little as this, but for me, it's made it pretty much unwatchable. It feels like I've got the wrong prescription in my glasses towards the edges or in the middle. I mean, you don't know which setting to pick for the best. I've tended to have it sharp in the middle and soft towards the edges, but then it kind of feels like you're going a bit blind, because when somebody walks across the screen or the image pans, it's kind of blurry around the outside. Yeah, maybe people can put up with that. I mean, I'm giving this away, so it doesn't really matter for me. and maybe it's faulty. That's what always comes up whenever I buy something that isn't perfect. There's always a chorus of maybe yours is faulty, or maybe it is. But then again, do you want to take the gamble? Would you buy something like this on the hope that you get one that's better than this, or would you assume, which is what I would do, that if everything else is working, there's no actual physical damage to the device, I can't see any scratches on that lens, that lens has come off the same conveyor belt as all the other lenses on these things, if that's where they come from, then I'd imagine they're all going to be pretty much like this. Maybe you get some that are worse, who knows? But yeah, it's an issue, and unfortunately it's the one issue that has really killed this, because everything else on it seems so good, or good enough. You know, I've got various nitpicks about the sound and file types and it supports and stuff, but all that stuff you can get around. What you can't get around is the fact that the image this produces is blurry and you can't fix it, and that is a big shame. So there you go, not really the ending that I was hoping for. Ideally, this would have been a brilliant bargain I could have recommended to loads of people. I could have put an Amazon affiliate link in the video description, which I've put anyway, but don't click on it. And people would have bought this in the thousands. I would have become a millionaire, and that would have been the end of that. As it is, it got a lot of things right. It got a few things wrong, but it got one major thing wrong, and that's the image quality. A projector with an out of focus image that you can't get in focus isn't an awful lot of use. Now, is it good enough for projecting on the side of a caravan and not really paying that much attention to, just say putting football on there and you'd be able to see what was happening? Yeah, perhaps. But it's on that borderline, because it is so out of focus that for me, I found it difficult to watch. I wasn't looking for problems. As soon as I got it set up, I thought, oh, this isn't right. You know, it wasn't like it took a few minutes. It was like immediate. And then I realised whatever I did with the focus, I couldn't get it right. So yeah, it's just a bit too far outside acceptable for me. So I can't recommend it to anyone, but there's an affiliate link. Yeah, it looks like the place they cheaped out on was the lens. I'm not surprised. I mean, lenses are expensive. If you get a lens for your camera, hundreds of pounds. This thing, £100 and odd pounds. So something had to be cut somewhere. Perhaps there are manufacturers out there making things like this with better quality optics, but I suggest that that is possibly the area where they're cutting a lot of the costs. I mean, my £1,000 projector has pin-sharp optics if you get it all set up correctly. Is this worth a tenth of the price? I don't know, that's up to you. Affiliate links in the video description. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.